Hello everybody, and welcome to day number 4 of my Metamorphosis, a 10-day journey to self-discovery. Basically coming out of the cocoon and getting into your butterfly state and flying. So guys, welcome to day number 4 of Metamorphosis. Guys, my name is T. Renee Smith. I'm a business and a life coach, and I help women to build profitable businesses while rekindling the fire in their marriage and raising extraordinary kids. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this journey of the release of my new book, Metamorphosis, How I Shared the Life That Others Wanted from Me and Learned to Live My Authentic Life. Guys, I just said congratulations. This is your 50th broadcast. Woo! So guys, I have been live on Facebook 50 times. I think that deserves some thumbs up, some hearts, or something, guys, being on here 50 times. So welcome to everybody that is joining us. If you are here, just drop in the comments and say hello. Hey, Regina, how are you? Regina, of course you would be on the video live when I am talking about marriage, right? So anyway, guys, for you that are just joining me, yesterday we talked about your self-discovery, your self-love, your worth and value. And is that being derived from material possessions, or is that being derived from your internal validation? So today we're going to talk about marriage. Hey, Karen, how are you? We're going to talk about marriage. And guys, this year I will be celebrating in a couple of months my 10th anniversary with my husband, Anthony. Here's a picture. Guys, that's when we got married almost 10 years ago. And when I tell you that this is the best thing that has happened to me, I think that Anthony is the most amazing husband, and God knew exactly what he did when he gave me Anthony. Because, honey, I didn't know what in the world I was doing. I messed up all kinds of ways in the marriage, and Anthony has been rock solid and stable. And so really my message to you today and I talk about it a lot in the book Metamorphosis, but it was really our journey of where we are to this point now in our marriage. One thing that really helped me, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but for you that are watching, have you guys seen the movie War Room with Priscilla Shirer? Hey Karen, how are you? War Room with Priscilla Shirer. When I tell you that movie came out, I guess maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I watched that movie, it completely changed the dynamics of my marriage. Because what was happening, and I didn't realize, I had so much emotional baggage and so many perceptions that I brought into my marriage that I really wasn't married to my husband. Well, let me change it. I was married to my husband, but I was based on all of the emotional toxins and all the emotional baggage that I had in my marriage. And so I really had to go through a process of getting rid of insecurities, getting rid of fear, getting rid of trust issues, getting rid of all kinds of things that I was bringing into the marriage. And I think so many times we pray, especially as women, that God would change our husband, that if you just change this man, if you change, if you make him more romantic, if you make him I need to do this to him, then our marriage is going to work out. But today I wanted to come and tell you that in a marriage, the only person that you can change is yourself. And 9 times out of 10, once you start changing you and you start changing the way that you behave and the way that you react in your marriage, then your mate is going to have no choice but to respond differently to you, because now you have changed. And so when I watched this movie, Priscilla Shirer, her husband and her were going through all kinds of issues and all kinds of prayer. And she met this mentor, and it was an older lady, and the mentor basically told her, baby, you're fighting a spiritual battle, not a physical battle. So all the things that you're trying to change in your marriage, or all of the things that you want God to do in your marriage, you can't do it by fighting with physical weapons. So you're going to have to go into prayer, and you have to go and work on changing how you respond to your husband. Because your husband, he is not swayed, that's not a good word, but basically how you respond to him with your actions, not necessarily your words, not the nagging, not telling him he's, no good, he's not a good man and all those kinds of things. But when you respond to him and you build him up and you encourage him, regardless of how he's acting, you will see him change. And so in the movie, Priscilla actually converts her closet into a war room, and she puts up all kinds of prayers about her marriage and the things that she wants. And she just starts praying over her husband. And then God starts working in her marriage and changing all kinds of situations around. And not to give away the movie, but anyway, their marriage change and progresses. So for years, I thought that my husband was the problem. I thought it was him. And if God just changed him, we would be fine. But in turn, after I watched this movie, I started praying, and I started really looking at who I was. And of course, I've had mentors like Regina. I'm gonna call you out because you're on the live. She has been such a strong spiritual mentor for me when it comes to marriage. And I had other women around me that were telling me, Renee, listen, yes, you're aggressive in business, you go hard, you go get it, but you cannot be that same way in your marriage. You're gonna have to pull back a little bit. You're gonna have to tap into your feminine energy. You're going to have to let your husband leave, and you're going to have to leave your laptop, your phone at the office. So when you come home, it has to be all about family time. So for years, ladies, I don't know, for the ones of you that are watching, and the guys too, maybe with your wife, do you struggle with finding that balance between being that wife, that mother, and then also, being that strong business owner? If you do, please don't let me think that I'm in this by myself. Write in the comment section and tell me if you go through that as well. So one of the things that I had to really do in my marriage was kind of set some boundaries and Regina, set some boundaries and be able to understand that maybe how I am in work, I'm aggressive and I'm go-getter, that when I come home with my husband, then I need to be more in that supportive role, that loving role, because instead of competing against him, like that masculine energy, I really want to compliment him. And I learned that from T.D. Jakes long time ago when I was reading his book, Emotions. And he was just talking about how a lot of women think that men do not have emotions. They have emotions. They just express them differently than women do. And so the War Room, it helps switch my perception of how I approach my marriage. And then also Gary Chapman's 5 Languages of Love really helped, because my love language is different from my husband's. My husband's love language is acts of service. Mine is words of affirmation. So I'm constantly telling him, honey, you did a great job. Honey, you did this. Honey, that is not resonating with him because his is acts of service. I want to see it. I want to prove it. And so with a lot of men, they are acts of service. That's their love language. I pay the mortgage. I pay the car note. I come home, don't I? I make sure that there's food on the table. So that's acts of service. And so we had to learn how to communicate differently, because I needed to hear you tell me you thought I did a good job. I needed to hear you tell me that you love me. I did great with the kids. And in turn, he needed to see my acts of service, meaning if he asked me to do something, that I was doing it. So 2 tips for you guys today. Well, really 3. Number 1 is learn the love language that your mate has, because a lot of times they're communicating love to you. You're just not receiving it because their language is different from yours. So that will be Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. Number 2, you can only change yourself. You cannot change your mate. So what you do is you ask God to reveal those things in you that you need to work on. And then as you work on those things, then watch him work on your mate. And when I tell y'all, I had way more issues. When I asked God, well, God, show me what it is that I need to work on. Like, I thought he was going to give me like 1 or 2 things. But when I tell you, I had a whole list of things that he said I needed to work on. So while I was thinking my husband was the problem, actually, it was me that had the issues. So when you ask God to start showing you the things that you need to work on in your marriage, be open and be receptive with what he tells you to do. Because remember, it's not about you and it's not about your husband individually. It's about you guys collectively as a team. So I always tell my clients that you can win the game, but you're not going to win the championship if you guys are not working in sync with each other. So you guys have to come up with what that common mission or that common vision or common purpose is for your marriage. So I remember this was years ago, and my husband had came to me and he said, Renee, he said, the way in which you're doing business, us getting the leftovers, you coming home, in the bed with this bonnet and these lumberjack pants on, something is going to have to change. And so that's when I realized that my individual mission that I had for my business was not in sync and was not in line with the overall vision that my husband had for our family. So I had to make some changes and I had to make some adjustments, and I had to really change how I operated. Because he told me, he said, now it's amazing how, at nighttime when it's time to practice our marriage ministry, you exhausted, you've been dealing with the kids, you've been working, but let your phone ring with a new client, you up, you out the bed, and you moving. Okay, so he was telling the truth, which simply meant that my priorities were out of order. So what I had to do was to basically change my priorities and make sure that my relationship with God was first, then my husband, then my kids, then my business. It has not always been like that. But once I started doing that and understanding that when I shift my priorities, God totally exploded in my business, and things that I was having to work and struggle for because my priorities were out of order and I was not, giving the time and attention that I needed to my husband and my kids. Once I did that, then my business shifted. So my message for you guys today is, a lot of times when things are going not like we want them to in our marriage, get out of the flesh, stop trying to fight to make things happen. Drop on your knees, get into prayer, and find out from God, what do you need to be doing in the marriage? How do you need to change? And remember that you and your husband, y'all are not at war against each other. It's not about winning an argument. It's not about winning a debate or winning a fight. It's about winning in your family. Right? And so you've got to have a common mission. You've got to have a common goal. And somebody has to be the one to humble themselves. And I always say, I'd rather be right than to be happy. I'd rather be happy than to be right in my marriage. I'd rather be happy than to be right. So it's now less about, the arguments and who's winning, but what's the common goal for our family and what is it that we need to do in our marriage to get us there. Okay, guys. So I talk about this in more depth in my book, Metamorphosis, How I Shed the Life That Others Wanted for Me and Learned to Live My Authentic Life. But I did just want to drop some nuggets to say that marriage is so very important, because marriage and family is the basics of success. And what's the point of having a successful business and a successful career if you do not have a successful marriage and a successful family, if that is what you desire? So the same amount of time and effort that you put into your business or growing that corporate ladder, like we have career plans, we have business plans, but we also need to have a plan for our family, which includes a plan for our marriage and a plan for our children. So guys, make sure that your priorities are in order. Number one is you and your self-care and your spiritual relationship, because you can only pour out into somebody else what you have. Number two is that marriage, that husband, that wife. Number three is the kids. And number four is that business or career. So marriage and family is a vital part of your success, and it's the foundation to your success. So guys, day number 4 on my personal metamorphosis. So I appreciate everybody that has joined me. Ronnie, great points. Ronnie, thank you. I think that you're new. I think that this is the first time that you've been on the live, or at least that you've commented. So thank you. David, amen. Thank you so much. So to everybody that is watching live, thank you so much. For those that see the recording, if you have comments, if you got an aha moment, please make sure that you drop it in the section, because I read all of the comments. So guys, I will see you tomorrow. If you have not gotten your copy of Metamorphosis, How I Shed the Life That Others Wanted for Me and Learned to Live My Authentic Life, you can get it at Amazon.com and also trenesmith.com/books. And if you are in the Atlanta area on January the 21st, Saturday, I invite you to join me at the Soul of a Woman conference. This is such a perfect subject for it, because it really is talking about how you are in relationships, and that all has to deal with how you are as a woman. how you show up as a wife, as a mother, as a business owner, as a career professional, it is all based on how you feel about yourself as a woman. So if you've not got your tickets to the Soul of a Woman conference on Saturday, January the 21st, make sure that you get them. I have details on the Facebook page. All right, guys, I am signing off. Thank you so much to everybody that joined me, and I will see you tomorrow on day number 5 of my metamorphosis, which is a 10-day personal journey, all based on my book, Metamorphosis. Guys, have a great day, and remember that there's greatness on the inside of you. And when you let your greatness shine, when you walk in your purpose, you give somebody else the permission to do it. So remember to live your authentic life, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.